Welcome to another episode of Your Extraordinary Growth. I'm your host, Michael Basinski, but you can call me Buzz. And today I'm talking with Scott LeBeau, who founded the One Source Direct platform. Previously a banker, Scott conceptualized a process to deliver community banks a faster way to gather business data. Recognizing the similarities small business face with data accessibility to networking smarter, Scott's purview expanded to providing small and micro companies with fast and reliable access to business-ready data. And today, he's going to give us a peek behind the curtain on the inner workings of his extraordinary business. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Good. Thanks a lot, Buzz. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
Oh, my pleasure. And I actually want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the show and share your story. So, as I said in the intro, you started in banking, which is that's right there in itself is a feat I could never do. I don't think I could do the 8 to 5, 200 days a year because I think that's all they work. But the but you said you
Depends.
expanded this concept of of data mining. And then now, when you were working at the bank, did you create this platform for banks, or did they already have a platform that you saw and you're like, wow, I see an opportunity here, and you went and built your own? Which one was that?
Um, it was not something that the bank had. It's not something that I built for them. It's something that I think just came out of my own frustration, just doing searches on, for things that I'm looking for, knowing that the banking industry is really kind of changing significantly, and there's so many banks that don't know where to get access to information. I think, in fact, the number of banks in the U.S. this is as of several years ago, is below the number of banks that existed before the Great Depression. So there's really kind of a shift, and the bigger banks have more access to information, but the community banks or smaller banks don't. So it was a way to try to figure out,
Mm,
how can we get them easier access to information. Um, a lot of the banks really have limited staff with, wearing 15 different hats, and so it's harder to, I think, for some of them to adopt a change or adapt to change, and it was just something that seemed to make sense.
right, that makes sense. And so you made it an online platform, so people can go to your website and then sign up for the service, and it's kind of a
Correct.
DIY.
Yes, in fact,
So,
the growth.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say the growth kind of came from something that one of my contacts, our first, mentors, I suppose, said whenever you go out and see a client, and this tells you how far back this was because he talked about having a paper copy. He said make copies of things that relate to an industry or the customer that you're going to go see. So that's really how it went from being just focusing only on a banking platform to small businesses and micro business. So it just seemed to be a very natural segue into that.
Awesome. So give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here. So if somebody came to your website, what are they, and they subscribe, what are they getting with their subscription? How can they
They're
use this
getting
to grow their business?
they're getting very easy access to information. We've set it up so that all of our communication is direct. Like if I'm looking for something, and let's say, Buzz, you have what I'm looking for, to find you right now, I have to do an internet search, look at millions of results, and you become very frustrated quickly. Through our platform, if we're both on it, I'm looking for it, I can send you that request directly to you. So there is no filtering or anything additional searching that you have to do. Once you hit it, any communication on platform goes between user A and user B. That could also mean,
Mm,
let's say if I wanted to view your podcast, I could sit down and say, I'm looking for, tips on a certain thing. If you have a podcast on it, that automatically comes to me. Or if you want to say, you're going to offer your services for 25% off, you know, you could send that
mhm.
promotional offer to me as well. So we really try to look at the areas that businesses need help in. And I was reading an article from the Search Engine Journal. I think they said that companies that spend $3,000 a month in social media a month, that's not sufficient anymore. And I don't know too many small businesses or micro businesses that can throw out $36,000 a year.
Mm.
So we came up with a subscription model. It's a flat fee. You pay this, and then once you get in it, you can immediately start getting access to leads without any type of marketing campaign.
There you go. I love it. So there's a little bit of networking. You can do a little bit of data mining. So if you
Hmm.
say you're looking for certain type of information about an industry and somebody else has that
Yes.
information, they can share that with you directly.
Yes.
Um, that's awesome. So how long have you been in business?
We started about 8 years ago. We were getting ready to go live before the thing called COVID hit. And then knowing that so many businesses were really uncertain what their future was, we took time, and especially over the last 90 days, we focused a lot on rebuilding the website. During that COVID period, we took that to build 7 enhancements to the platform that's there today. Those will not be rolled out until we actually have a chance to, have some members trying the platform, making sure that we're going in the direction that they want. I mean, our goal and our motto kind of has always been that our end users will be my board of directors. They're going to be the ones that guide where we go. And
That's awesome.
so before we get too deep into this, even though we've had people from various industries help us with everything, we want to expand our base of customers we can try it with first. So.
Right. That makes complete sense and very smart. So many SaaS developers out there that just rush into what they think they know,
Hmm.
or they think that they know what other people want without even
Right.
asking, let alone build it out.
Hmm.
I was just on the phone earlier today, and with a gentleman who built out an entire program, sold the entire program, never fulfilled it before they had sold it. So they did the sell it first, build it later,
Hmm.
and which is good up to a point, but the way
Right.
that they did it, they went and collected money, and then they went to go fulfill it, and they lost money on the whole thing, and then had to give everybody their money back. So I was like, oh, so you didn't do
That's
your
not
market
good.
research first. No, it's not. I was
No,
like,
I mean,
so you went backwards more than one way.
well, and I was kind of call it like an outside in engineering. And initially when we got this going, there was a team of us. There were a couple former customers of mine from the banks that I've worked at in the past,
Mhm,
friends and family that have run small businesses, and developers sitting in a room. So there were some very interesting
mm,
conversations, but they were so open, and it was so, I don't know. It felt different because there was no tension between people when they're talking about ways of doing things. It was a very open, free flowing discussion. And, even the people that we've been talking to this point, about some of the enhancements, when you sit down and you can tell somebody, listen, you have a say in this. I mean, we're not always going to do what everyone wants, of course.
mhm,
But again, just the ability to know that you have an input. I mean, it's the user system. It's not mine. We're simply, in
mhm.
a lot of ways, I think we're just a placeholder in trying to, build and help, you know, so many small businesses right now that even in this economy, there's so much uncertainty. So it just, again, create that level playing field where everyone has an equal chance for business. There's no advertising, there's no spam. So it's totally different than what, in many cases, than what people are used to.
So where do you see, as you're putting these enhancements on, you're listening to your clients as you should and your users, and you build this out. Where do you see the One Source Direct in, say, 5 years?
I honestly don't know, and I not. I at times I want to think that far out, but I don't think I can because I want. One of my friends told me early on, he goes, Scott, this is going to go somewhere that you didn't expect it to go. So that kind of tells me that I don't know where this is going to go, and that's really kind of going to be what the market's going to tell us and what the users are going to tell us they need. So I know that initially we're going to roll this out for about 6 to 9 months in the US and Canada. And that's by design so that we can kind of test it and then start working on some of the enhancements. But then we're going to go
Mm,
globally. I mean, I've been dealing with people. I've gone to talk to people in South Africa. I've already talked to people in the Middle East. I've talked to people in Australia, India, the Netherlands, England. So it's interesting getting the feedback, but it's nice to, some of the people have been very helpful, but I like the lady in Australia. She's like, when's this gonna get here? I'm like, okay, just slow your roll a little bit. There's some stuff that we want to work on first because again, this is going to be evolution. It's not going to be this, revolutionary thing where it's going to be one way today and then it's going to stay that way for 1,000 years. I probably won't, but
right.
what I'm saying, it's going to continue
Yeah.
to evolve, and I think the key to our success is going to be the ability to adapt to our end user.
Mm. Yeah, no, I get that so much. And software changes so much. I
Hmm.
mean, if we just look at social media, what Instagram looked like just a year ago doesn't look the
Hmm.
same today, and
Hmm.
now we have a whole nother soft, a piggyback to
Yeah.
Instagram right now with the threads, which I was on for all of 2 days and then realized that there wasn't really anything here for me, and I haven't been on it since. So I was
I
like,
have not
and a
even
lot of
tried it.
people,
So
yeah. Well, I mean, you have what, 1 million reach in Twitter?
I I I think we get out to about 1.9 million. Like I said, LinkedIn, we're about 25,000. So
Hmm.
again, and it's nice because eventually the platform can be white labeled, and by that I mean there's certain groups that we're talking to where they can actually, kind of own the program where our platform, so it'll
Hmm.
show up to anyone they recommend it. It'll come with their logo and everything like that. And so there's many different
Hmm.
avenues that we're looking to go, but um, yeah, that keeps me busy enough, and those are going to be some nice, people to partner with. But 1.9 million ultimately is, yeah, it's a pretty nice number. So
That is really nice reach there for any platform. The so do you how many users do you have on the platform now?
well, there would be two of us at this point. We've actually started doing a crowdfunding campaign about a week and a half ago, and we've been struggling with the ads to get them through. So we're pushing pretty hard for that. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'd like to have, let at least 1,000. I think that way that'll give us a good idea. Um, because there's so many things, even with our pricing, that I need to start to figure out. I mean, the goal is to, I think Steve Jobs said, not to be the richest man in the graveyard. Um, so I think that one of my degrees is in accounting. So I want that the ability to look at usage. I want the ability to look at all my costs and set a price that's
Hmm.
realistic. So there's a lot of learning that I have to do yet. So,
Gotcha.
but
All
again,
right. So I heard
I
I
think
heard
we
it
should be
correctly.
okay.
So you guys are kind of in beta testing still? Is that?
It's ready to roll. It's live. The platform as it's going to market is there, and
Uh-huh.
it's just a matter of going out and talking to users. That's kind of the purpose behind the crowdfunding campaign as well, to get some users on the platform, and then again the ability, once we get them there, to start working with them, to figure out how can we make this better, faster, stronger. I already have a developer
Gotcha.
that's waiting in the wings for a lot of this stuff.
Very good. Very good. Awesome. So if you could ask yourself, if you could, if you had the ability, because you said about 8 years ago. So if you
Hmm.
had the ability to talk to that person 8 years ago, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give that person?
Kind of the advice that friend gave me, keep an open mind where it's going to go, continue to learn.
Mhm.
One of my friends was talking to me once. He's like, "Why didn't you do this 20 years ago?" I'm like, "I didn't know what I know now then." You know, and I think just that ability to keep an open mind, to continue to learn. Um, for example, I'm not a marketing person, and I never will profess to be one, but I've learned so much about it. Just the little things that you don't really even think are there. um, but it's all going to help us as we go forward. So I think just keep doing that, and I think that's again why we have that mindset to your question before about where you're going to be in 5 years. I got a lot of learning to do yet. I have a lot of
Uh,
listening to do. In fact, as it starts to grow and people come on board, I already have several people that I'm looking to have jump on board and take care of the day-to-day stuff. I said my ultimate goal is to literally, whenever possible, sit down in front of a small business owner, um,
right.
some of the smaller groups that we have, and talk with them, because that's going to be my strength going forward. Because if people can't tell, this really is a passion of mine, and it really is driving everything that I'm doing right now. So
Mm, that's awesome. Well, I hope you the best of luck as this is rolling out. I think it is a service that a lot of people will be able to utilize. And I will touch base with you after the show and maybe help get some word out for you as well. But in the
appreciate that.
meantime, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. You are definitely extraordinary. And to all of
Thank-
our listeners, please, if you enjoyed our conversation here today, make sure that you subscribe and rate our show. That is how we grow. And until next time, stay extraordinary.